Good morning on what is a cool, grey and slightly damp day. It is Monday the 25th of July and I'm in the read nook with a nice hot cup of tea and a letter to unbox. So let's get the knife out and slice this open. There we go. This has come all the way from Denver, Colorado, and pulling it out. Oh, what I have got is Be With Me. Journaling rose ceremonies and asking them to marry you. Okay, and this is by Paul Czege, and I apologise, Paul, if I've mispronounced that. Inspired by elimination dating shows like The Bachelor and The Bachelorette, and by the love and promise of paint, Be With Me is a journaling game about dating prospective life partners on the most watched show of the season at a time when you're uncommitted and your future is unknown and you're hoping for love. And it has, I profess my ignorance, I don't know what the cover painting is, but it has very painterly quantities. He's obviously drawn from a lot of artwork, taking inspiration from a lot of artwork, as you can see from the inside. And journaling games have really sort of come into their own in the past few years, obviously because of the lockdown, because, okay, well, I'm not role-playing, but I want to do some role-playing and be creative. And journaling games allow you to do that, because essentially they literally consist of prompts which ask you to write down your reactions or what you do in response to something that's generated as part of the role-playing itself. The most notable example of that, of course, is 1,000-Year Vampire. So, and essentially you've got an introduction explaining, essentially it says, I was so lonely when they picked me to be with me, and it was so what I needed. Being on the show, dating a pool of incredible prospective life partners, and so on, was amazing. Essentially, it changed my life. So essentially, a quick introduction from sort of like in character before we get into how to play. And essentially this is quite plain and simple, but essentially it's quite accessible and easy to grasp, to read, I think, and essentially it is talking about, essentially, we're looking at basic. Begin by choosing one of your 6 swatches you feel you want to get to know. Start the entry in a journal. It is talking about essentially your swatches, your colours, necessarily, rather than the persons, but essentially they reflect the personalities of the people that you're sort of like you're dealing with, you're painting with. So it's I would say basically an old creation. It's essentially the idea that colour as personality, and how you react to them, how you come to feel about them. Essentially these colours, essentially as they're reflected in here, the idea ultimately is that they will become your life partner, or one of them will, in the process of reading through and playing or journaling this game. And you come down to the end, it says essentially the remaining question is whether you actually get the future you envisioned together with this life partner way back at the beginning when you first wrote it in your journal about them. But you do need to know for sure that you'll get that future. But he says, essentially, I think you'll take a break from the game for a couple of days. You'll feel you don't need to know for sure. But if you take the break and you still have to know, there's a way maybe. You can play the other game included in this book, and it's Miss Marjorie. So you've got two games in one, the sequel to the other. So you play a role-playing game, a journaling game maybe, they're not necessarily, and it's done, you can't get the characters in your head, or there are unanswered questions. And this is essentially, this is about you dealing with someone that you actually want to know whether she's for you, and it's setting it up. All in, really, actually, just 3 pages. That's it. So yeah, this I don't think is essentially this is interesting little game, little basically creative exercise. The ultimate, essentially that you will essentially create and explore a relationship with first 6 persons, and then come down to one person, ultimately making a decision as part of the journal. Almost as if essentially you think about it, if you're inspired by the dating shows, you are going into, the diary room or whatever they call it, in Big Brother, and you're directly interviewed, but you're noting it down in your diary instead of doing that interview, because of course this is a journaling game, not Big Brother, not reality television. Obviously, it is inspired by it. Then of course you have that, which is essentially potentially the aftermath, whether or not you get to stay with them, whether or not they're right for you. So yeah, that is Be With Me, essentially a game of relationships and exploring them. From it's basically from the creator of basically My Life with Master. Okay, well, I hope you have enjoyed this unboxing in the Nook. If you have, then please do click on the like button down below. And of course, if you've got any comments or feedback, I appreciate you taking the time to post those. And lastly, if you want to be alerted to yet more unboxings in the Nook, where you'll see me out here with basically a parcel, or in this case an envelope, from which I will unbox a game or book and chat about it to the best extent of my knowledge, all of course accompanied by a nice hot cup of tea, then please do hit that subscribe button down below. In the meantime, I'll be back again with another unboxing in the Nook. Bye for now.